Good morning, traders. Welcome to the Bookmap Platform Details webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap. Let's go through the risk disclaimer. Trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Okay, so what we do in this webinar, for those of you who are new here, welcome to the webinar. This is the basic webinar that's open to the public. What we do is introduce you to Bookmap, define what it is, who uses it, how to connect to the markets, how to subscribe to it, go through some of the Bookmap resources online that are free and available to you. And then we look at Bookmap in the live market and we analyze the order flow, just the basics, and show you what Bookmap is visualizing, and we define the elements on that chart so you understand the advantage and the edge that you're getting through our visualization. All right, now we have an advanced order flow webinar. It's part of the education package that comes with Bookmap. There's an educational course that's online that's always available to you. And then there's also the advanced webinars that immediately follow this webinar every day at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And we go through advanced concepts in order flow. So you're able to really understand order flow and integrate that into your trading methodology. All right, so let's jump in here and look at the website to begin with, and let's just go through it briefly here. Okay, so what is Bookmap? Well, we are a software trading platform just like any other platform. We're not an indicator or derivative of time, price, or volume. Okay, we're not a broker. We're software. Okay, we're not a data provider. Let's continue on. Well, we're traders ourselves. We came actually from the quant environment. So this works extremely well for quants. In fact, there is a quant version of Bookmap as well for those of you who are trading algorithmically at sub-second levels. However, the software visualizes the data in a unique way. This allows you to zoom out and use the order flow analysis on much, much higher time frames. Okay, swing traders, scalpers, day traders, even position traders can look at the order flow and get a lot of insight on much higher time frames, and we'll show several examples of it today. Okay, all right, so let's continue on. Connectivity, so these are the markets that Bookmap connects to: futures, US equities, and digital currencies. Okay, data for digital currencies is free, but we're not a broker, we're not a data provider. So for US equities and for futures, you will need to provide the data. Okay, for for US equities, it's DX feed. That's the only method right now for connecting Bookmap to US equities markets. So if you first need to subscribe to Bookmap, then you need to subscribe to DX feed. Now for futures, you have a variety of options here. You can see them all here. Rhythmic and CQG, Gain Capital, Transact, IQ Feed, Nanotick, Cedro. You can also connect via the API of 3 different other platforms: TTX Trader Pro, Ninja 7 and 8, and Interactive Brokers Traders Workstation. Now, we don't recommend it. Bypass the API of another platform completely, because Bookmap is a platform, and connect it directly to the data provider. Okay, you'll just get better data. All right, let's continue on. Pricing and packages, just go through some of the options here so you know what they are. Ask any questions. First, you can subscribe monthly. You can subscribe yearly and get a 20% discount, or you can buy it outright and own it for lifetime. Let's go through the monthly options here in the 3 different versions: digital, global, and global plus. The digital version here you can see is free. It allows you to subscribe to 1 digital currency in a live market, and that data is free, and that market is open all the time, even over the weekends. So you can always check out a live market. This is a fully functioning copy of Bookmap. However, you only get 1 digital currency at a time. Nothing else connects. So if you're a futures trader or equities trader, I would recommend trying Bookmap Global for a month for $49. Cancel at any time. See if this is something that works for you. And then for those of you who want more, Global Plus allows you access to our proprietary indicators. Okay, our indicators are unique to order flow phenomena. So they're not kind of typical RSI or MACD or Bollinger Bands, whatever it might be. What Bookmap indicators do, they look at, for example, majority of the players in the order book. Okay, where is the larger player that is holding the most contracts at a specific price level? That is good information to know. How they might be skewing the book or the auction to their advantage. We can also identify icebergs with our algo with pretty high probability of running into an iceberg. That is good information to know. Those are larger players again that don't want to show their liquidity in the book. So they're trying to get filled without showing their hand, and we can identify them. All right, another resource that you might want to check out is our blog. Click up here on the toolbar, and there's all sorts of information here, articles, interviews with traders, etc. And our Twitter feed, really recommend that you check out our Twitter feed, all sorts of information here, retweets from other traders and their analysis, etc. Okay, so there's the resources, news, events that take place, videos, etc. Okay, and then our YouTube channel, all sorts of videos here. I think you'll find very helpful. The Bookmap intro videos playlist is right here. Then these order flow education videos, I think you'll find very helpful. This is the kind of phenomena that we go through in detail in the advanced order flow webinars, looking at very specific order flow phenomena that Bookmap can uncover. Okay, very short videos here, but go through the concepts of what we're looking at. Features and components, all sorts of different features. Our Pro Trader webinar series in November of 2018, you can access all of those as well if you want to see how other professional traders are using Bookmap. Okay, and then there's some selected webinars down here as well. Okay, well, let's jump into Bookmap and take a look. Okay, we're going to look at the S&P E-mini. All right. Okay, so this is the basic Bookmap chart here. There's some add-on indicators and things here that I'm actually going to close up, and we're going to look at the very stripped-down version of Bookmap. You still get these with the Global Plus, like the cumulative volume delta subchart here. Okay. Also, this historical VWAP and this blue line, which is the point of control, current and historical. We're going to close those and just look at 3 elements on this Bookmap chart and define these elements so you understand what you're looking at. And our iceberg detector will take that off as well. All right, let's zoom in just a little bit here. This is the cash open here, and then this is current market right here. All right, so if you're new to Bookmap and you're looking at this, it's probably like nothing you've ever seen before. Okay, so what is it? What is this data? It looks really complex. It's not. It's very straightforward data. In fact, it's a lot easier than the majority of the indicators out there. Very, very simple stuff. Number one is we're showing just historical best bid and offer. There's no time frames here. It's just best bid and offer going back and forth. All right, there's no aggregation of data, and I'll cover that in just a minute. And then the second element are these dots here. These are transactions that have taken place on the best bid and offer. And then the last element, the third element, is the heat map. This orange heat map here. There's a variety of colors depending on the amount of liquidity, but all we're showing here is your depth of market. Where are they bidding and offering? That's all the heat map is. Okay, so in fact, we'll start with a candlestick chart. We can overlay it here. We're going to look at a 5-minute candlestick chart. And I'm going to strip off these 3 elements and add them on one at a time and just go through the details so you guys understand exactly what we're displaying here and the advantages that you're getting. And then we'll start to dive into some of the order flow analysis. Okay, so this is a 5-minute candlestick chart. We're all pretty accustomed to this view. Okay, every 5 minutes you get a new candle, and you get 4 data points for every 5 minutes: open, high, low, and close. That's a real issue. You're completely closed off, completely opaque to what happened within those 5 minutes. Okay, and what you're doing instead is you're reading the wicks and the bodies of the candles. It's really just kind of guessing in essence. I actually like candlesticks quite a bit, to be honest, but let me just show you the kind of transparency that you get with the way that we display the data. First is just showing historical best bid and offer. Okay, that breaks down the candle right away. Okay, so for example, let's just zoom in a little bit. What happened in between that 5-minute period? Well, here's what happened. This is the best bid and offer. Why is this an advantage? Because now you can really see all the details in the price action. Okay, there's little areas here that, you're not seeing anything here in the candlestick chart. You just see wicks and bodies going back and forth in a range. Okay, but if we break it down, we can see all sorts of little areas of consolidation, breakout, consolidation, breakdown, retest back up here. Okay, and then like this is a great little area right here. It broke back down again and it accepted lower here. Okay, you can't see this in the candlestick chart. Okay, so just by showing best bid and offer, we can break down the opacity of that candlestick. Okay, so if, for example, this area here, it did not accept up above here where these rectangles are. And it broke down, and it kind of went sideways here for a bit, but it came down and made a newer low. Okay, now it rejected off of that low, and it came back up into the range. Okay, so what did it do? It spiked above this little area here, but it rejected there as well. Okay, and it's right back into the range. So right now we're really in a range-bound environment here for the last half hour or so, or less than that, 20 minutes. But we're seeing really, we'll see like some exhaustion in some of these areas when we start to turn on the heat map and we turn on the volume. Okay, so we're going to get a lot more insight to truly what happened in some of these areas here. Okay, so let's add the volume dots on. Okay, that's the second element on the Bookmap chart. And let's bring the dot size down just a little bit. Okay. All right, so now we're looking at the transactions that occurred on that best bid and offer, right? And so now we can answer all sorts of questions that the candlestick chart does not show us here due to this aggregation of data. Even if you're looking at like a footprint chart, you get very precise recordings of the transactions that took place. That's what footprint chart does. However, you're not able to see all these details here in the structure and who's in control. Okay, so for example, look at this little area here of buying, right? Okay, we rejected off of the low here. Okay, we came back up, we found some buyers here, and look at the retest right to where those buyers initiated here. Okay, you may get that in the candlestick chart, but you don't see the structure. Okay, so we come back up here. We don't get a lot of buyers up here, but we get the breakout here. But unsustained, breaks right back down, and then you can see we're just going sideways here. Anyway, getting an insight here to precisely where they're trading in terms of structure is a detail that adds a lot of value here compared to something like an aggregated period in a footprint or candlestick chart. All right, let me just go through the two elements here so you guys understand precisely what we're looking at and how simple this data really is. Okay. Well, here it is. Let me just bring the dot size up. All right, the red line here, this is the best offer. Okay, and the green line is the best bid. That's about as simple as you can get. Okay, it's just the historical best bid and offer. Now the green dots here are transactions. These are market buy orders. That's the way we're displaying these. We're displaying the aggressor classification of volume, which means market orders. Okay, so when someone crossed the spread, they paid up for it. They lifted the offer here. The transaction took place and the dot is painted. If you want the specific details, we can use the data tip tool here. We can look at very precise date, timestamp, what was on the ask at this point, and then the volume it traded. So this is for volume of 7. Okay, this bigger dot down here, this is a red sell market order that hit the bid. Okay, it's a bigger red dot. It's for a volume of 66. So you can understand the color and the size of the dot gives reference to the type and size of the volume. You can see some of these dots, like this one here, for a volume of 43 is showing both buying and selling. Well, let's just zoom in here. Okay, we can see really what happened here if we break it apart when we zoom in. This is what really occurred. Okay, we can still zoom into these areas and you'll see trades within trades here. This is really what happened at sub-second levels here. This is the environment we came from that HFT environment. But we know that is not very helpful when you're trading on higher time frames. So zoom out, just get the overall aggregation of that bigger dot for a volume of 15. However, we know that there are many events in here for a volume of 15. Okay, so those are the two elements on the Bookmap chart. Okay, now let's add the third and very important level or element here, and that is the heat map. Okay, so because what we're looking at here, and let's take the candlestick chart off for now. Let's add the heat map on. Okay. Now we can start to understand the complete picture of the order flow. Okay, all we're showing here is where they were bidding and offering in the auction. Okay, so we just traded into and we're testing these lows here, and we're finding a lot of sellers. So we're starting to break down, and we're below the figure here at 2650, and looks like pretty good move here, pretty strong move. Let's continue on. Let's see it get into this higher liquidity down here. Okay, so you can see where I'm already targeting. That's due to the heat map. Okay, this is the dome, your depth of market. We're going to zoom in here and let me just cover the details here so you know precisely what I mean with the heat map here. Okay, this vertical white line here separates the historical market, what just occurred, and the current market right here. So this is a current best bid and offer, and this is a last traded volume, this number. This is our price ladder here, and this COB column is your dome. It stands for current order book, but this is your depth of market. Okay, what you're looking at these price levels, these numeric values up here, are the number of contracts that are available for sale. These are traders with limit orders. Okay, they're making the market. This is where they want to be sellers. Down here, they want to be buyers. So what we do in Bookmap is we take these areas of high liquidity, as we can see down here, this cluster, and we paint it in the heat map. Okay, that's all we're doing with the heat map. So when these numeric values change, you'll see the heat map change to reflect it. Okay, so we can see some some sellers here pulling a little bit, but we're getting really dominant view here by the 655 contracts and then almost 400 here down at this level. Okay, but what is interesting here is these numbers change, the heat map changes, but we record all of that action and then we plot that on the chart historically. So in this colored heat map, you can see these striations here. It was yellow, orange, back to yellow, and then this kind of blue-white area here. This is the adding and pulling of liquidity. Okay, so we have this kind of orange level here, 342 contracts. This yellow level is 324. This darker blue area here is 273, right? So we know that they're pulling liquidity at this price level of 44. Okay, how does that help you? Well, now you can start to understand their intent to trade down here. Do they really want to be buyers here? And we're getting an answer from these guys at 44. They're saying no, okay? Because they keep on adding and back in and out of the book here, but they do not look like they want to trade. If they wanted to trade, they'd stay in the book, right? These guys down here at 43.25, they're staying in the book. They appear that they want to trade. Okay, now we'll see when we come down in here and we test these levels, and we can emphatically know the result. Did they stay in the book and did they transact or not? Okay, that gives you a lot of insight. That these guys, they want to trade, and these become important price levels. Okay, here we go. We're going to get our test here. Let's see if they stay in the book or not. Come on, sellers, hit the bid. See if we get on this rotation. Okay, so anyway, as we're waiting for this here, you understand what the heat map is now. You understand all three elements here: best bid and offer and price structure. Okay, the advantage you get there, and then also the how we're displaying the volume within the price structure. That is the key here, because now you can start to understand all sorts of details. Now combine that with the auction, both current and historical, and you've really got something here. Okay, so we're just testing into these areas here right now. There's our test. There's the transactions. They just took place. Let's zoom in. Now, the intent of these guys at 43.25. Did they want to trade? Absolutely. Here's the transactions taking place right into their high liquidity, and they're not getting out of the way. They want to make the transaction. If the sellers are here, they want to be buyers. Okay, and they just, well, it traded a little bit through by a tick here, right, into this other area of high liquidity, and they're staying in the book too. Okay, so we know that these guys want to buy. Okay, well, not only do they want to buy, they bought. Okay, here's the reaction that has taken place already. Okay, and we're finding more buyers now on the aggressor side. Let's see if we can get up to this 49.5 area here. Why? Because that's where the liquidity is. Okay, so see how we can put all of these pieces together here and start to understand how important some of these levels are. Now, this is good for understanding a complete picture of the order flow in this kind of recent historical market. Okay, because we're not looking at a lot of price action here. Okay, getting lots of great insight, but it's only good for you know, this handful of minutes here. Well, let's zoom out. Okay, and this is where you can use Bookmap on those much higher time frames. You can look at the same analysis and order flow by zooming out and seeing a much bigger picture here. Okay, look at all these guys down here at this, you know, until 9:30 the open. Okay, they stayed in the book the entire time down here at 26.50, and they transacted. And look at the move out of that after they transacted. In fact, these guys also stayed in the book here, and it looks like they transacted here around this 53 level. Okay, so we found buyers. We also can see the reaction that occurred after we found those buyers. Okay, and where did we go back up into? Well, there was higher liquidity up here before the 9:30 open. You already had this information. Okay, you already had all of this information as well down here on the bid and these other lower levels as well. Okay, look at the 9th, even before the 9:30 open, look at them layer in here, okay, looking to be buyers at these levels, and we're just testing into them right now. Okay, so all sorts of information that can be utilized on much higher time frames. It's all here in front of us. Okay, this is actually a pretty good example for today, using this on the higher time frame, because usually we see this kind of you know, insight. I mean, you get it with the S&P all the time as well, but it can be really clear on some of the stocks. I mean, these guys are already layered into the book. You already know where they want to deal, and they're kind of tipping their hand to you in essence, because if you already know where they want to deal, well, that's what they think is value of that instrument. Okay, and they spend a lot of money and research to understand that value of the instrument, and you're basically getting that for free. All right, so those are some of the advantages using this on the higher time frame. The same kind of analysis that we were just looking at down here of understanding where, see how the buyer stepped in, and we're looking for that test up into our 49.50 level. Well, look where it went to. Okay, right to it, right to it. Okay, it's not magic. It's not, you know, anything special. It's just that's where the liquidity was. Okay, and look at what was their action up here. They didn't want to deal. They pulled. They shied away from being sellers here. Okay, and then they're back in up here now. Okay, so anyway, now we're testing down lower into, and we're starting to break into these other areas of high liquidity. Okay, let's zoom in here and see if they have the intent to trade. Yeah, it looks like they're getting filled. Yep, they're definitely staying in the book here. Another 300, 400 contracts transacting. Anyway, you're going to start to note all sorts of other details and information. Okay, potential spoofing or skews in the auction. So you look at this very high liquidity here on the offer, pressing down on price. Okay, but did they have any intent to trade? No, none whatsoever. They pulled that liquidity. Looks like they're trying to skew the book to get price to go lower, show a lot of supply, and potentially get their contracts filled, perhaps down here on the bid. Okay. Anyway, all sorts of stories and understanding of what the behavior is like of some of these larger players can be extrapolated by understanding and reading their intent. All right, if you're signed up for the advanced order flow webinar, then we'll see you there. Else, we'll continue on tomorrow with the basics webinar. Have a good day, everybody.